Today I am going to talk about the top 5 things that have changed me from living in Taiwan. Number 1, toilets. When I first arrived in Taiwan, I discovered that we have a hole-in-the-ground style toilet. And the only other time I had ever seen that was when I was in England. I took a trip to France on a ferry. And when I arrived in France, I went to a public bathroom and there was a hole in the ground. But not like what you see here in Taiwan. I mean, it was a dirty, scary bathroom. And I'm sure they're not all like that in France. But that was my introduction to toilets that are in the ground. And so I arrived in Taiwan and I first saw the hole in the ground. I was so excited. I know what you're thinking. Most foreigners, they see that and they're like, how am I gonna go to the bathroom here? And it was a little bit awkward when I first started using it, but I was so happy to discover that that was a common thing in public bathrooms because I don't really like sitting on public toilets. I just always felt like it was kind of dirty and I've always kind of just not felt right about it. Now when I go back to Canada to visit and I need to go to the bathroom and I'm at a public bathroom, I'm always wishing I'm gonna open the door and find the hole in the ground style bathroom, but we don't have that in Canada and that's always something I miss when I go on holiday back home. Number 2, sharing food. When I first came to Taiwan, I found it really hard because people in Taiwan like to sit around a table and share food with each other. And I remember when my wife and I first started dating, she'd want to like share the food with me. And I always felt just very awkward because I felt like, this is my plate, I eat this food, and that's your plate, and you eat that food. Not only that, people will use their chopsticks to give you food. And at first I would have a problem with that, like, oh, but those are your chopsticks that you're using to, to give me your food. But then I started to get comfortable with it, and now the thought of not sharing food is weird to me. Number 3, now if anyone watches my channel, you've seen me do so many videos.
Smell.
Stinky tofu, man.
Stinky.
Oh, that's nice. This is more toe, right?
This one's
More really toe, good, right? Like a hen toe tofu, right? But hen hao.
It's toe. This is toe. This is toe tofu. So here we are having Taidong night market cho tofu. Ooh, and it's kind of got a different texture. It's a little bit different from anywhere I've been so far. Stinky tofu. It took me years and years to find the love and fall in love with stinky tofu the way I feel about it now. I mean, literally, if I walked by the smell of stinky tofu, I'd feel like, what is that garbage smell? I would almost feel angry at people who were eating it. Like, how dare you eat that stinky, disgusting food? Why would you want to eat that? And my wife would come home with it, and this is where it gets really awful on my part. She would bring stinky tofu into the house, and I literally would get angry and I would say, you can't eat that in here, honey. Take that stinky tofu and eat it outside, and when you're done eating it, you can come back inside. Like, I literally hated it on that level, and it took me years to fall in love with it, and then I don't know what happened, like maybe my taste buds changed. Finally started eating it slowly. A little bit. Okay, that's all right. That's not bad. And then, I don't know, one day there was like a shift in me and I started really enjoying it and I started to understand what it is about stinky tofu that people like here. But it's an unusual thing for a foreigner to really fall in love with it the way I did. And it was a very long, decade-long process. But yes, after getting angry with her for years about eating stinky tofu, now I talk about stinky tofu so often on my channel and just in general. I don't know why, but I'm always talking about stinky tofu. She feels annoyed at me like, baby, why are you always going on about stinky tofu? Number 4, I want to talk about change, which is something that has changed me in Taiwan. When I used to live in Canada, I was in the habit of just paying with bills. But now in Taiwan, when someone tells me how much something is, I'm in the habit of paying in exact change.
75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Oh my God, all my change. Here we go.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Now, if something was 550 NT, I would be most likely going to give them 1,050 NT so that I could get a 500 NT bill back. And if I did that in Canada, they would probably get annoyed with me, unless they were Taiwanese. Number 5, shouting. And you know how in Taiwan, like, you know, we have these like 3-floor, 5-floor, 6-floor, or 6-story houses. And you know, you get brother on the 6th floor shouting 4 floors down, "Ma! Blah, blah, blah." Why can't they just not be lazy and walk down and talk to the person? So maybe after living here for a long time, I started doing it too. I got lazy because I live in a 1-floor house where it's far easier for me to go into another room and find my wife or my kids to talk to them. And I'll be like, "B!" You know, my wife's name is Becky. "B!" or "Baby!" And she's like, not only does she hear my kids screaming at her, she's literally got 3 boys screaming at her every day from different rooms, like, "I need this, I need that." And I guess I got used to it. So now when I go over to my in-laws' house, when I used to go over, I should say, I wouldn't do this, and I would think, "Oh, why is everyone screaming?" And now when I go over to my mother or father's house in Taiwan, I'll be on the main floor screaming up, "Baby, can you get me some water, or can you get me something to eat?" And I'll be like screaming now, so I guess you could say I've become Taiwanese when it comes to some of these habits. And I truly think if I were to ever move back to Canada again, that I would enter into a state of culture shock just from being used to these things here in Taiwan that other places would think were strange have become normal to me. And it's really interesting how every culture has their thing, and you never truly know a culture until you really live in it and become immersed in it. So yeah, those were just 5 things that came to mind, and I'm sure there's like so many other things that I'll share with you in another episode. But leave a comment below. Did you ever live in another country, or have you visited other countries where you felt strange, like how people do things? And can you like leave a comment, what were those things, and how did you feel about those things? And with that said, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are, and I will see you next time.